Okay, so welcome to our fourth week of kindergarten immersion. Today is the day after Labor Day. It is Tuesday and we have no school. We have professional development. So I left my house this morning at 7:15 and it is 7:55 and professional development starts in 5 minutes. So I'm going to walk in here and scan my tag and let's get our day going. Follow me around. I have 6 sessions today. I honestly will probably be leaving before the 6th session. My own personal kids, my children, have volleyball and soccer tonight. So I was able to stop and do a Dutch mobile order. Of course, you know it's a salted caramel protein. I have my bag, my device, my charger, and I think at 8 o'clock I am going to a session about fine motor strategies. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, it is 11:10. So we've been in sessions for about 3 hours. We went to 3 different sessions. I shouldn't say we because I didn't travel the whole morning with my PLC, which is totally fine. I chose sessions that I feel like would help me as a professional, not just necessarily based on, specifically being with my PLC. So my position's a little bit different in the kindergarten immersion program. I have a teacher partner who does the English side, and then there's 3 sections of kindergarten. But the immersion program is so different that I don't feel like we always need the same things. So the first 3 sessions that I attended, one was fine motor. The second one was freaky fast feedback. And then the third one was stop, listen, and collaborate. I was really hoping that session number 1, it started a little bit late, which is fine. I was grateful for that because I walked in basically right on time. I was really hoping that with the OTs that there was going to be maybe some new standards or new knowledge on how to help our sweet 4 and 5-year-olds who come to kindergarten and don't have fine motor skills or core strength or anything like that, just because of the change in lifestyle that we have now, moving more to tablets and indoor activities versus sports, bike riding, and playing outside all day. Our kids are underdeveloped. So I was really hoping that they were going to offer more suggestions or maybe shed light on some new knowledge that would help us in the classroom. So it was not that. I didn't have really any big aha moments. I do have a degree in early childhood development already. I worked in early childhood for 12 years before I was a kindergarten and first grade teacher. So they talked about handwriting, pencil grip, developing, muscles in the hands, talking about the importance of, working on tummy, working on vertical surfaces, those types of things. So if you are a new educator, if you are new to education, if you're in the early childhood world, I feel like it would have been probably very informative for you, but not for me, unfortunately. So session number 2, I chose the session because of the research that I've been doing the last 2, maybe 3 years, from John Hattie, where I've read his books, Visible Learning in Math, and talk about how important feedback is, how effective it is, what a great teaching strategy it is for our students. And I feel like I could really develop the skill of giving feedback, especially when I'm teaching another language. I want to always give instant feedback to my students, give instant correction so that their Spanish language development can be at its best. I also picked the session because the facilitators were teachers from a school that I had taught at for 7 years, and I just thought it would be fun to see them and see what they're up to, and it was fun. It was tons of fun. So, this session, they did they gamified it. It was a choose your own path. Very fun. The focuses were on ELA and math. And the feedback strategies were very helpful. Definitely geared for older grades. But now I at least have a few ideas of what I can adjust to make it appropriate for teaching a second language and to make it appropriate for kindergarten. So like my wheels are turning right now, and I definitely liked the session. I have something already valuable that I'm going to use when I go back into the classroom this week. So that's what I love, is stuff that I can take out of the sessions and use right away. Third session, Stop, Listen, and Collaborate, is where we got to meet in the Commons with some of the other Spanish immersion teachers, and we got to talk to each other just about things that are going well and kind of have a little bit of work time. So we talked for roughly 10 minutes. There were 4 other teachers there. We are at 2 separate buildings, so it's kind of nice to see the teachers from the other buildings. We just talked about some things that are going well. Some of us have had grade level changes and talking about adjusting to that. And then we had time to work. So I worked on some PowerPoint slides for math. I have to revamp math because my students this year are not as high as my students last year. I also put together a Google form for an application. I decided to sponsor the science club this year in my building. And that's a stipend position. And so there's kind of a lot of work that goes into that before time. So I worked on a little bit of that. And then here I am just waiting for the rest of my PLC to come out so we can have lunch. I will check in with you guys after lunch. I'm going to one more session today. We have a keynote speaker, and I honestly don't really know what the topic is, so it should be interesting. All right, so we are done with professional development for the day. We do not have another professional development day this month. So I did not go to the very last session, which was a behavior coach who was going to be talking about function of behavior, which I've had classes on that before, especially working in a Title I building where we had a behavior coach on staff full time. We have had those types of classes before, so I'm hoping that I'm not like missing out on anything like super groundbreaking. But I am home now. That's just one of those things where you have to decide as a professional if your time is spent, better in the professional development sessions, or if your time is going to be spent better, well spent working on something that you need to keep your classroom running and functioning. So I technically am still in professional development for an hour. So I'm going to be working on my concept of development for Eureka Math. We follow Eureka Math, and we have the guides written in Spanish, but a lot of the translations are not really good. But the structure of Eureka Math is very unique, and I do enjoy teaching it. I think this is probably at least my 5th year teaching Eureka Math. I love how it's very much like a storybook, and it's all about problem solving. There are some things that are not my favorite, but it aligns very well with how I was taught to teach math in school when I was getting my bachelor's degree. So I know that's not always the case. So I'm going to spend the next hour working on some recordings for the concept development, like I said. Now, there are many different parts of a Eureka Math lesson, and if you'd like to know more about that or how I teach math in my classroom, I would love to do like a separate video. I can put that on my schedule for the next week or two to do a separate video all about math. But today I'm going to be doing the recording for 5 lessons. I've created the PowerPoint slides, but I like to do a pre-recording. And then I can either present the recording to the whole entire class, I can present it to them in small groups, or I can create a QR code for the recording and have my students in math centers watch the video after I've already done the whole group teach, just so that they can get more of the vocabulary again, because we're teaching a second language here. We're teaching math in a second language. So that would be very helpful for them. After I'm done with the recording, I will be done for the day. I will be teaching tomorrow. I have a 3-day week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. This week is a short week. Tomorrow will be very much routines and procedures because my kids have been at home for 5 days. So it will be kind of a little bit lighter on content, a little bit heavier on routines and procedures for the classroom. I am going to introduce a new routine to them this week. I'm going to be showing them how to do fluency centers. Now, you can have fluency centers in your classroom for math and reading, and I'm going to try to combine the two. At the end of my school day, we go to school until 3:55. So from 3:30 to roughly 3:45, 3:50 before I start packing up for dismissal, I have 15 or 20 minutes of time that I really need to be using for instruction. My afternoon goes so quickly with there being recess, snack, and specials in the afternoon. I really need that 20 minutes of time for instruction, but I don't think that my kids are ready to have maybe a whole group lesson at that time. They are very tired, especially this early in the year. So this week I'm going to introduce fluency centers. I'm going to have math and reading centers for them. The reading centers this week are going to be just looking at books. These are books that are printed in Spanish. They're just a scholastic book. They're going to be looking at books. Another station is going to be letter formation, so they're getting their handwriting books. I do use the estrellita icons to create the handwriting booklet. I have adapted lines for my kiddos who need it, and then I have some that are not adapted. They're just the regular handwriting lines. It's a workbook that I've created just for my classroom. It is available in my TPT store if you use Estrellita or need handwriting for the Spanish alphabet. So my kids will be doing a reading center where they're looking at books in the Spanish language. They're doing handwriting. Then there's going to be a teacher table. At the teacher table, we're going to be working on writing names and writing numbers. So far, we have learned numbers 0 to 7. So I'm just going to be pulling kids who I still feel like need more fine motor and more practice with that, and then pulling the kids and making a group of the kids who still do not know how to write their name from memory. So they're going to be working at the teacher table. And then 2 other centers. One is going to be a math activity where they're going to be sorting by color, size, and shape, which is one of the math concepts that we've been working on in Eureka Math. We've been working on clasificando de color, patrón, or uso. So we've been classifying by color, use, and pattern. So there is going to be some sorting materials, and then the last center is going to be a math packet that is basically their practice set, their exit ticket, and homework. All of that is provided within the Eureka Math curriculum. I don't send home homework because it's in another language, and probably 90% of my students, their parents don't speak Spanish, so it seems kind of silly for me to send home homework that their parents will not be able to help them with. But seeing if they can work through the exit ticket and the practice and the homework independently. I do also have an aide. She's not in my classroom every single day in this 15-minute time at the end of the day, but some days she is. So that would be a great kind of table for her to kind of like head up, just lead the kids through the packet. I'm not going to require them to have a certain number of pages done. I'm just going to require that they do their best work, they complete the whole entire thing. If they have a question, ask. It's not really like a race to finish. So that is a new routine and procedure that I'm going to be teaching on the 4th week of kindergarten. I'm going to be teaching fluency groups. So I hope that they're successful. As far as the concept development videos, that is kind of just like a goal I have for myself for the year to get at least 10 videos per module. There are 6 modules in the kindergarten Eureka Math curriculum, and some of them are very lengthy, like 30 plus lessons, and then some of them are like 20-25 lessons. So I think a good goal for myself without going too far into my contract time and working too many evenings on this is to say that I'm going to create 10 lessons per module that my students can use in the classroom in small group time, or I can use like if I have a substitute teacher who doesn't speak the language, or a day that I show up and I have no voice, because that happens, more often than I'd like to say. Just to have those up and ready to go. There is another teacher creator who I absolutely love. She does the concept development in English, and I think that they're helpful. But again, like I said, once my students get used to learning math in Spanish, it's a little bit more difficult for them to understand fully if I present one of those concept development videos to them in English, because they are so used to hearing it in Spanish later in the year. So, let's